Hello, Michael.
What's up, Biggs? How you doing, buddy?
Welcome to Points After Thursday, everybody. Fantasy Forecast, Greinberg and Biggs. I am Biggs, the big-boned barbarian. Shout out Jamie Pirog for that nickname. And we're here to recap this Houston Texans domination over the Buffalo Bills and answer some of your starts and sits questions. I apologize for my audio. My girlfriend is asleep in the room next door, and so I'm trying not to be loud.
You're not loud. You're never loud. You're
I'm always loud.
Humongous. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Well, I mean, it is shocker tonight. I mean, I did not expect this outcome. Did you?
No, but Jamie continuing to glaze us.
Glazing. What's up, Jamie? I was gonna DM you personally thanking you for the incredible tracks you were, giving Biggs and I for our shows and stuff. Created a short today with your music in the background. So way to go, Jamie. We are pumped. Bring it on. We got to get some hip hop versions of that stuff too.
And Jamie did, at the end of our Dynasty Pulse recording tonight, Jamie did send me 6 more versions of the songs. Jamie's been cranking them out. And just if you are a Fantasy Sports Advice Network watcher, stay tuned and be on the lookout for the bangers that Jamie put together. They are wild. Also, anybody interested, Jamie's coming on my Raiders Uncovered show tomorrow night, and we're gonna go over this upcoming toilet bowl, the 2-8 Raiders versus the 2-8 Browns. So that's must-see TV.
Well, we know what's sitting at the bottom of a toilet bowl, and that is the Browns, if you will. So we know what's going on. What's up, Mad Dog? How you doing, buddy?
Dane Madosh says, "What's up, guys?"
All right, folks. Not quite the game we all expected, Biggs. Let's recap that one for our viewers. Obviously, some of us were expecting a little bit more of a showing from Josh Allen, and it didn't quite come to fruition. But what did happen here for the Bills was a nice outing from James Cook, which seems to be the only upside of their offense outside of him and Khalil Shakir. What do you think is going to happen here moving forward for these Bills?
Well, it looked like they just ran into a buzzsaw. We know the kinds of things that Josh Allen is capable of. So, I mean, they will continue to happen throughout the season.
Yeah. I mean, coming off of a 6-touchdown game, I guess if you hedged that bet, he's averaging 3 touchdowns a game through the last 2. Wow. Not what I was
He's got great matchups coming up: Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England. So,
yeah, I mean, it's going to happen, right? I mean, the Bills are right in the thick of that. They're not even in the playoff race right now. And they're obviously in the race, but they're not actually in the playoff picture at this stage with this loss. I mean, obviously coming into the weekend here, there's going to be a lot of variables, and I think the Bills needed to win this with how surging the Patriots have been. And Jamie, hip hop, I'm like old school 90s stuff. So any sort of old school funk tracks that I could get on that track would be
Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah, there you go, Biggs.
Or 21 Savage, or the Beastie Boys, actually. Beastie Boys.
There it is. Yeah, let's get some old school stuff, man. We love it. We love it. Now, Biggs, surprising on the other side of the ball here, not quite the showing we would have expected from Nico Collins or Woody Marks. I mean, they didn't really need to run the ball a whole lot tonight. So what's your outlook on the Jaden Higgins breakout over the last 3 games here? He's coming on with some steam. We've been a high on Jaden Higgins all year, and since you saw him at the Senior Bowl, incredible stuff that we're seeing here from him. Do you think that has a lot to do with the Davis Mills situation? What are we expecting from Jaden Higgins when CJ Stroud comes back?
Well, I think he's now integrated himself into this offense to the point where he is valuable. We're pumping him up all offseason into the rookie drafts. We've had him on a couple of waiver wire pickup shows, etc. There was a thing that I saw today where he was like a scant yard touchdown kind of play last week, and that would have given him, I want to say, 3 of the last 4 weeks with 7 or more targets. So now he's got, in his last 5 weeks, he has 7 or more targets in 4 of those 5 weeks, a touchdown in 3 of those 4 weeks, and 13, 15, and 13 fantasy points. So he's, and 9.5 in another week. So he's legit. We've been waiting for it, and now he's got his snap and target share dialed in. So this is the Jaden Higgins that we've been expecting.
I
Call him
mean,
for 3.
yeah, I love it. And then we got to talk about the other guy who you had as a start of the week for yourself here, leading into tonight, and that's Woody Marks. He looked like he came in and pretty much took over that backfield here over the last 2 weeks. What do you see from him? I mean, pretty good split from him, 16 rushes to Chubb's 6. He was clearly the more efficient back in this offense, and he has been over the last couple of weeks here. Can we make it safe to say that Woody Marks is here to stay and he is the bell cow in that offense now moving forward?
Absolutely. I don't have his snap share, but tonight he had 16 carries. That follows up the 18 he had against Tennessee. He had 74 yards, which I believe is his season high. We'd like to see him get into the end zone and get a few more targets in the passing game. But as far as running backs to own in Houston, it's Woody Marks and nobody else. They just waived Dameon Pierce, and I dropped Nick Chubb for the weekend, just because he's doing nothing.
Dropped a Chubb for the weekend, and you know what I mean? It's just how things are going right now, and have to shout out the Scott Fish Bowl participants that are in the first week of playoff run right now. Tyler, our fearless leader, is mentioning that Josh Allen just destroyed his Fish Bowl. I mean, tough one to swallow here for Josh Allen owners that are headed into the playoff run here. After a monster week, who you pretty much only had to start him last week in order to get a W in your win column, and now you're going to be looking from behind here, headed into the weekend. Anybody that thought that Josh Allen would be the number one quarterback this week, not happening.
I'm playing against him in my home league, so that's a nice 8 points to look at over the next few days, especially since I have some questionables with Jackson Dart and Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne. So I like that. I'm making a playoff run in this dynasty league, and have done enough to support a playoff run. Like, I sent some draft picks away for Garrett Wilson, hoping he comes back. I went ahead and acquired Michael Pittman. So it's looking pretty good.
Love it, Biggs. Now, a little bit to talk about here. Khalil Shakir, 10 targets, 8 for 110. He's been kind of the consistent part of that passing game, especially since Keon Coleman's been healthy scratch the last 2 weeks, which is a tough pill to swallow for those Bills fans who looked at last year's draft capital, early second round pick here. They traded down for him, thinking that, he might have been a value in last year's draft, just hasn't been able to come up with, any sort of showing here. They brought back Gabe Davis, Josh Palmer's in the mix. And I think since, Dalton Kincaid's been vacant off their roster, they haven't really been able to find a rhythm on offense. Are you with me here on that one?
Absolutely. Dalton Kincaid, James Cook, and Khalil Shakir are kind of like the triumvirate in that offensive system. But again, tonight, the Houston Texans pass rush is just incredible. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, like, they get home, and they have good defensive tackles too. So you saw Josh Allen running around with nowhere to go all night long. And I think this was kind of like if we look back to Detroit's game last week against Philly. It's just the defense clamping down. It wasn't about Josh Allen or the receiving core or anything like that. It was just a dominant defensive performance. Jared Goff's going to bounce back. Sam Darnold's going to bounce back. Josh Allen's going to bounce back. It just happens. It's the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Well, couple intriguing games this weekend, if you will, Biggs, and I want to get your take on a couple of these matchups.
Cleveland, Vegas. Sorry.
They
That game might be 6-3.
or 40-70. Could be any
No,
version.
I don't think these offenses are going to do much.
Well, when I was looking at the lines today, I was really intrigued about the New England Patriot Bengals game. Right now, it's slated to be the highest scoring game on the slate here. What are your take on that one? Joe Burrow potentially returning. He was the full participant in practice the last 2 days, and Joe Flacco has been limited. So, looking like Joe Burrow might be the Joe that is starting for the Bengals this week. Known to be a slower starter when we think about how he started the last couple seasons. And what are your take on him? Are they are you automatically starting your Bengals here? I know you had Chase Brown as a starter as a sit of the week for yourself. So what are we talking about here?
Yeah, we're looking at implied point totals of basically 30 for the Patriots and 21 for the Bengals. I don't think that was put together with Joe Burrow in mind, but also Joe Burrow doesn't have Jamar Chase this week. So essentially what I'm looking at is T. Higgins is about the only startable Bengal. If Joe Burrow gets into the game is going to start, then you kind of have to start him. But other than that, it's T. Higgins and nobody else.
The question really is Myles Garrett going to get more sacks than the Texans?
Correct. Or is Shedeur Sanders going to throw more interceptions than the Texans had sacks?
Gotcha. Is Shedeur there's a lot of this is going to be a great game. There's so many storylines that we could just talk about this game alone as being the toilet bowl of the week. And yeah, Dane, we are right on board with this one. The score will be 6-7. 6-7.
You'll get a chance to make your prediction tomorrow, Jamie.
There it is, the big time bowl. So if you are going to be tuning in, check out the Raiders Uncovered on the Dropples Network, and you'll hear Biggs and Jamie go head to head. And then
on YouTube, it's uncovered_NFL.
We're gonna have to get Jamie on the pulse one of these days coming up here. I think it's due time. It'd be great to have him. And
easily more picks than the Texans had sacks.
All right, Biggs. Let's get into some other games here, and not a whole lot of big time. Okay, well, I mean, what's your take here on the Bucks and Rams now? The Bucks are 7-point underdogs against the Rams at home. So the Rams being at home here, what are we thinking here? How you feel like this game's going to play out?
I like that line. I mean, I don't like betting lines when they're over like 5.5 points. But I would definitely take the Rams to cover.
Yeah. I mean, this is a game here where the Bucks reeling right now. They're in a tough spot. I mean, they still have, a decent command of that division at this stage, and we're looking at this division being, that's going to go down to the wire with the Panthers at this stage. Seeing how banged up the Bucks have been, they may or may not have Bucky Irving back this week. What's your take on that? Do you think Bucky's going to suit up this week? He's been limited in practice.
I mean, it's Thursday night. We those are the kinds of things that we wait for and then talk about on Breakfast with Biggs, 8:30 a.m. West Coast time every Sunday morning, getting you your starts and sits questions and a breakfast cocktail. So tune into that.
Nice one. To pull off topic, thoughts on Irving rumors? What are the Irving rumors, Biggs?
Actually, Dane, that is the topic. So you're not doing anything. I don't know. That's the kind of information I wait until Saturday night, Sunday morning to like really dive into, because just like your word says right there, they're at this point rumors.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that regardless of what happens here, Sean Tucker is still a pretty important play this week, judging by what happened last week, his explosiveness, matchup, all things here, I think, are going to play in I don't know. The matchup is tough. They're playing the Rams. So if Bucky does play, are you playing Irving? If he doesn't, I mean, like what's the situation here if you're a Bucky owner?
I sit him. I'm fading all the Buccaneers running backs anyway.
Yeah.
If there are three of them, that's just more of a committee. And yeah, Abuka is about the only Buccaneer I would start this week.
Yeah, it's like a three-headed monster when, Bucky does return, and, they could all be RB3s moving forward, which is tough to swallow, but it could be a reality here as Bucky gets back from his injury and gets back to full strength. I mean, he's clearly probably the number one in that offense based off of what he did last year. But Sean Tucker has shown, and the Buccaneers do show that they love that explosive playmaker. So love what I see there in Sean Tucker, but it's hard to repeat that week after week, especially you fool me once of what he did last year, and might be hard for me to put in my lineup this week, especially against that tough Rams defense.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Couple more games here to go over before we head out for the evening there, Biggs. What's your favorite game to go over here? Chiefs, Colts, tough one here. Chiefs at home. The line is 49.5, which I think is going to be a defensive battle. If you ask me, both teams looking to win this game in an important way, really. I mean, the Chiefs need to bounce back. They're at home, and they're looking to put some pressure on a quarterback that hasn't been living up to snuff the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like New Orleans, Atlanta. I think that's going to tell us a lot about what is going to happen with Tyler Shuck and Alvin Kamara going
Yeah,
forward.
yeah.
And then Dallas and Philly, divisional matchup. Philly's defense just was unstoppable last week against Detroit, and the Cowboys' offense was unstoppable against the Raiders' defense, which isn't terrible. I mean, they're not terribly bad. So Philly needs a boost. Like, they need to get their offense going, and Dallas's defense is a team to do that against. And then can the Cowboys continue their pace? That's going to be an interesting game to me.
So what about that game there that we mentioned here? The Eagles and the Cowboys. Some tough matchups in this game. They could go either way as far as a potential shootout or a potential grinder. What's your take on it? Do you see this being a game where they're going to be relying on the ground game? The Eagles.
Yeah,
Is this a big time Barkley game, you think?
that's their MO. I feel like the game plan for Philly should be to rely on Hurts's legs and Saquon Barkley, and then once they start to get into trouble, you have Smith and Brown out there and Goddard. Like, they can get it done, especially against a weak pass defense. And then if the Cowboys offensive line can hold up and Dak Prescott can find holes in that defense, I mean, we could be talking about a game in the 60s or 70s in points scored.
Yeah, I
What's
mean
the
that's
line
what
now?
49, I think. I mean, I would love to see a 60-pointer there. I mean, with the way that George Pickens is playing and that relationship he developed with Dak Prescott, I mean, he's a top 10 wide receiver, and yeah, be interesting to see how this would have played out if this whole season would have been with CeeDee Lamb as well. But George Pickens has been a storyline here. He's in the top 3 in yards, great in touchdowns. I think he's got 7 at this stage. Incredible stats here from a guy that we knew once he got to the Cowboys would be in a position to excel like this. But this is maybe beyond all our expectations at this stage, and he's doing that with CeeDee Lamb in the lineup as well, and probably the best game of his whole career in my eyes. Last game, showing elite, contested catch balance, separation. He just was doing everything for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and And it's an afternoon game too. It's not even a primetime game, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we got Monday night, Panthers and 49ers. The Niners are favored by 7
This is going to
against
be a closer game.
against a stingy Panthers defense, and Bryce Young may be looking like he's about to start cooking. I definitely like Carolina with the points in this one.
I like the points here because I think that the 49ers have been a pretty banged up defense, allowing a lot of points scored to opposing teams. And Bryce Young's on a heater, Tet's on a heater. I could see things opening up. And I look at McCaffrey's rest of season and Purdy. Can't dismiss Brock Purdy and what he can do in that offense. And he just brings guys like George Kittle to life. So this game has the makings of being one of those ones that could just easily be an over and be a nice back and forth battle that some of us are least expecting, but maybe two of us here are expecting a nice game.
I've been trying to tell everybody about Carolina Panthers defensive coordinator UC Davis legend Ajiro Evero for years, and he's got that squad going right now.
There you have it. Jackson Dartbigs, what do you think? Is he playing this week? And if he does, what do you think their approach is for him rest of season? Do you think they're going to be as I think they're going to be a little bit more lenient with him, a little bit more keeping the bubble wrap around him and holding him back, especially around the goal line when they see how Singletary's been able to perform in that range and without his elite weapons around him. Are they gonna be very cautious with Jackson Dart, or are they gonna continue to let him rip?
I think the goal line stuff is okay, and his scrambling out of the pocket and going to the sideline is okay. I think what they want him to avoid is active contact up the middle and slide more. You don't have to drive your shoulder into everybody. So of course they're going to try and coach him through preserving his body, but when it comes to his upside, his rushing ability, I think he's still going to get the scrambles, and I think he's still big enough that he's going to be able to get the goal line touches without incident.
Love it. Yeah, music to my ears. And how do you see him projecting now with that in mind? Top 10 quarterback rest of season? Tough one, right? I mean, it's hard to project that, but that rushing upside was something that really was his ceiling here. And if we cap that a little bit, that we got to temper our expectations now, don't we? Especially with some of these, matchups moving forward and some cake schedules for some of these quarterbacks.
Well, week 7 against Denver, he had 11 rushing yards and finishes QB3. Week 8, he had 17 rushing yards and finishes QB13. He has finishes of QB3, QB3, QB13, QB7, and QB3 in his last 5 starts. So, and then you look at the matchups, and it's green, by green, Minnesota, green. I'm thinking Jackson Dart is in a perfect position to finish as a top 7 or 8 quarterback.
Love it. Now we got a question from the chat here, Biggs, and hey fellas, Pittman and Rome for CD in London. I get CD. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's a smash. I'm on the CD in London side.
Yeah. Regardless if London plays rest of the season, I'm still on the CD side, I think.
I'd give up Pittman and Rome just for CD.
Me too. Yeah, I agree with that. Just with those two offenses and how these two wide receivers are playing out the last couple games. Pittman's been a great story for the first half of the year here, but when we look and we dissect, especially the last 3 games, of what's really happening in that Colts offense, and we're seeing the shift to a guy like Alec Pierce being the more prominent wide receiver in that role. Rome is hit or miss, and CeeDee Lamb is going to be that consistent. And if you get Drake London back for one game, he could be a game winner for that week.
Well, you know how I hate to quibble with you, Mike, but Pittman is still the wide receiver 1 in that offense. I ain't scared of no Alec Pierce. I love Alec Pierce, but Pittman is gonna be the target leader in that offense. I want to get to this next question real quick. Zachary Hansen, you say half PPR, but is this dynasty league or a redraft league? So are we talking rest of the season and redraft, or are we talking as dynasty assets? Because in redraft, I don't think I do this. I think I go through the season with Barkley. Woody Marks has some upside, but Genty has one of the worst schedules rest of the season. If it's dynasty, I smash that.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Woody's got a pretty nice schedule rest of the season, but I also like what Barkley has to offer here. And with what we see with Genty right now, honestly, it's really tough sledding, and it's gonna look really awful this week. They got a poor offensive line. Schulte mentioned it on the forecast as Genty being a sit of the week for him, and I think we've seen what Woody Marks can bring, but I think we haven't seen what Barkley has to offer yet for the
Rest of the season in redraft, Barkley has Dallas this week, Chicago, the Chargers, and then for the 3 championship weeks, he's got Vegas, Washington, Buffalo.
Oh yeah. Washington and Buffalo alone are top 3 fantasy points scored against 4 running backs, and then you add the Raiders in there.
Week 17, Buffalo, Saquon against Buffalo. That's a championship winning matchup.
Yeah, love it. Zach, keep that Barkley if you have him, or take that trade if you don't. All right, Nick just got offered Nico for Olave. Do I take it?
No.
You say no. I
no.
say potentially. The reason, my thought process is here. Davis Mills has made Nico Collins a little bit more relevant over the last 3 weeks, and then we're seeing what Chris Olave's floor is right now with Spencer Rattler, and then we're kind of seeing what his ceiling can be with Tyler Shuck, and I think things are going to come a little bit more fruitful there. It's namesake here. It's going to be tough to trade Nico for Olave unless, I wouldn't do that straight up at this stage. Even in a redraft league, I'd be looking for more from that Olave side as far as, throwing a pick in there or a secondary player. But honestly, right now, Olave, he's a guy. I mean, I hate to be late to the party. You kind of want to be the first one on the train here. And Biggs, you've been a big Olave guy, and the concussions were a big deterrent to start the year. Quarterback ambiguity. Now we got our guy Shuck in there. He's top 3 in target share right now, and the Texans are going to be in games that are going to be tighter. They're going to be, looking. They're in a tough spot here. They have a shot at a playoff spot where the Saints are going to be going from behind. So it's a tough one. Nico's been great.
Think of the Olave garbage time points. So both of them up to this point in the season have played 10 games, and Olave has outscored Nico, even with Spencer Rattler, by 11 points, it looks like. So it's basically a point per game that you're giving up to get Nico. Maybe there's a higher ceiling with Nico, but Olave's done just fine, and now he has an actual quarterback that's going to get him involved and get the ball to him down the field.
Yeah. So you're on the don't
Olave
trade Nico for me too. Okay. So we're okay. I read that question a little bit wrong here. So I was more like thinking that I got offered the opposite end, and I'm not taking that deal unless you're getting a little bit more with the target concentration here for Olave and Shuck being able to get him the ball a little bit more. Honestly, I think this could be top 12 upside for Olave rest of the season.
Yeah, and if we look at it, the Saints traded away his main target competition and Rashid Shaheed, and Jaden Higgins is emerging as a good target in that Texans offense. So on top of the fact that they're going to try and run the ball more to control the game clock, trying to eke out wins, and their defense is shutting down other offenses, they're going to be throwing the ball less to Nico Collins when you have Olave in garbage time and Tyler Shuck trying to win games or stay relevant or whatever. He's going to be chucking the ball quite a bit.
He's getting Barkley. You're taking that trade there, Zach. Pretty quite handily here. All right, Biggs. Got one more question for you, unless the chat has got more. Want to hear your take here on what we've seen from Kenneth Walker last week. And do you think this is, we were pretty high on Kenneth Walker headed into this year based off of that Kubiak offense, thinking that, what they do to the running backs and the zone reads and stuff. What's your take here on him rest of the season? There's some sharp guys thinking that he may have just surpassed, Charbonnet, and we're looking at, what could be a league winner here in Kenneth Walker down the stretch here with the matchups.
He's a solid RB2. Solid RB2. His floor is pretty much, it's been 10 points. He was banged up, I want to say. But against some pretty tough matchups like the Rams and Pittsburgh, he's been in the 18 and 20 point range. I buy the talent. They just need to utilize him more and get him into the end zone.
So what if it was redraft, half PPR, Olave for Nico? No, I'm still same. Yeah. We may be the outside run here, Biggs, like I'd say probably the majority would have taken Nico in that situation, but when you dig deep at the numbers and what we've seen with Shuck, I think we're on the right track here with Olave.
Yep.
All right. So anything you got to talk about for the weekend here, Biggs? We got quite a bit of shows happening over the next 24 hours. We got our start and sit shows dropping. You want to tell everybody about what's going on our network?
So tomorrow, Friday, look for, hang on. We got another. Jamie just wanted to put some fly in the ointment of wrapping up.
Okay. Would you trade a mid to late 2006 second for Goddard if you lost Laporta and only have yes, I would. Absolutely.
If you're competing, I'd do that.
Yeah, me too. I think he's a solid tight end one. Rest of season, he's just earned that trust, and he's a guy that, losing Laporta is a tough one, and you can't rely on either of those two guys. So yeah, I mean, a mid to late 2026 second.
And if you do it, send a late second. Never mind. So tomorrow, Friday, we have our sits.
Thoughts on Stevenson and Henderson? Well, maybe we could talk about that one because you're going to hear about that on the start show, right?
Yeah, you stay tuned for our start show because we go into depth about that. Bottom line is, I'm not worried about Stevenson at all. Henderson is a league winner. So get him if you can, keep him if you have him.
Like, we still think that Stevenson, don't get us wrong, is going to have a part in that offense. You know what I mean? He's probably going to get some red zone, some early down work, but I think the split is going to end up being way more in favor of Henderson. He's got the explosive playmaking, and we're going to talk about him this week when he's facing off against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are elite at letting running backs run wild over them, and all it takes is one rush, and Henderson is a weak winner for you. So I think this is going to be the case. Yes, Vrabel is going to be stubborn, probably playing all his backs, but it's going to be hard to keep what they have in Henderson off the field.
Way to spoil the teaser, Michael.
I know, I had to. But inquiry minds want to know.
Let's try this again. Yeah. Tomorrow, Friday, our sits show drops. Also, our Dynasty Pulse show drops with a very special guest from FSAN. I won't get into more than that. Saturday, our starts show drops with the aforementioned conversation about Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. So make sure you stay tuned. You tune into that. 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning, Breakfast with Biggs. I will answer your starts and sits questions based on the data, and mix a cocktail that you can drink for breakfast or brunch. So that's Breakfast with Biggs, the big boned barbarian. And then Tuesday, we have our weekend wrap up and waiver wire show. And we run it back Thursday night, next Thursday, right after the game. Points after Thursday. We got a ton of content coming at you. We got a bunch of friends too. Like the spilled coffee guys or spilled coffee persons. And at the forum and all over the place, Debbie Dojo, all over the place. We got a ton of friends. You can find us all at fantasysportsadvice.com. You can also cop our merch, like that sweet Dynasty Pulse hat that Mike is modeling right now. And of course, like and subscribe, hit all the bells and whistles, and we hope you win.
And thanks, Tread Duncan, for the nice comment. We really appreciate that when you just subscribe to our channel. Incredible stuff.
Cha-ching, another one.
That's the biggest win of the night for us. So from all of us on FSAN and the Fantasy Forecast and the Points After Thursday with Grindberg and Biggs, be sure to check us out next week and all our great content. Biggs, we hope you win. Peace out, everybody.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to Fantasy